I found a weapon. It's a lightsaber from when I was 8. Yeah. But can you do this, huh? Can you? I want to hit something. Woo! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Rupee, with Turtwig. Can you see him? New special guest, Turtwig. Huh? Say hello. We have a bit of an interesting video today. We're going to be talking about some issues that have been plaguing the Na'vi for a little bit now. And today we're going to be talking about Jake and Quaritch. Right now, Jake's in a bit of a weird predicament. We're going to talk about that today and how we could possibly fix this predicament, or at least just bring light to the predicament so that the devs can be like, yo, here we go fix it now, boy. Jake and Quaritch, their uses have dwindled significantly since they started out their adventures in Avatar Pandora Rising. We're seeing that they have practically been assigned to Sacred Site and Moara duties, which means the roster of commanders they'll be fighting against have dwindled significantly. So now the issue has arisen between the balance between Jake and Quaritch. Who's better? So let's just kind of talk about this, shall we? Jake and Quaritch used to be very evenly matched in terms of their decks. And then slowly but surely, their decks were changed over time. And bafflingly, a few patches ago, Jake was given the Hellswarm, which sparked a pretty big debate. Quaritch is an all-round commander. He has something for literally everything, whereas Jake, he doesn't have something for everything. He seems to be geared more for swarm denial and then being able to do a quick retaliation with a dire horse. But that's it. For me, playing Quaritch against an opponent as Jake, I tend to win most times. Even with a slight disadvantage, I tend to win. It all boils down to how well they're able to cycle for their dire horse at the end of the day. You know, that's got to be taken into account that if Jake can cycle his dire horse effectively, then he wins. So let's discuss Jake's deck, because there are some problems with it. Not just from a Na'vi perspective, but if you look at it objectively, you look at it and you go, oh yeah, right, you know, that's a bit of an issue. Now, the quickest and simplest way to do this would be to just say, hey, here's the deck that Jake should have. Here are the troops that he should be using. So let's go over the deck that is not only balanced in terms of progression upgrades, balanced in terms of general troops and average cost, and also that doesn't destroy his image. Here we go, you ready? There isn't one! Whoa! Yeah, that's right. I have been looking over this for a while, trying to figure out what troops could go into Jake's deck that wouldn't break him, and there just isn't one. I'm sorry, but for all the troops in their current state, there just isn't one. So the best thing that I can do is touch on the topics, or the issues I should say, with Jake's deck in comparison to Quaritch, and then leave it up to the devs for the moment to make their own decisions. This is the first kind of issue, and it was all done in, what was it, 0.5? Or was it 0.6? Whatever one added Hellswarm. And that's, of course, not all of Jake's troops are usable against Quaritch. Now, yes, this is very tunnel visioning kind of thing, to focus in on one thing and not look at the broader perspective. But let's look at the singular perspective first, and then we'll put it in perspective of the broader one. And I'm sure more epics will come later anyway, but just for now, we'll focus on these two. All of Quaritch's troops are usable against Jake. Jake's troops, not all of them are really usable, and he doesn't really have the same options either. So Hellswarm is not usable whatsoever. I mean, sure, you can throw it on a missile battery, but the situations where that would be a good thing to do are very minimal. And most Na'vi, if they're going to be fighting against a Quaritch, will just take off Hellswarm and replace it with something else. So obviously Hellswarm's got to get replaced with something. if it's just Quaritch versus Jake, which it isn't. And I'm sure some of the Navi on Titan server have kind of fed up with me hammering this point home, but I'm going to keep hammering it home because I think it's a legitimate issue here. You know, focusing in on just Jake versus just Quaritch is fine as long as you take into account the other things he'll be fighting too. And one of them is Freeman. Freeman is oh my goodness. He is I would go as far as saying he is the most dominant commander for SS currently. But for Jake, you know, if you don't bring Hellstorm against Freeman, you've lost. Just period. If you misplay Hellswarm, you lose. He will just stomp Jake. Like, there's just not a whole lot that Jake can do to stop Freeman's advances. You know, if you dropped Hellswarm from Jake, how would that affect him versus Freeman? Let's just think about that one for a second, because I think that's very important. Hellstorm is definitely helping him right now, so you know, we have to take this into account. Second issue with Jake, he's harder to level up and upgrade his troops because he has 2 epic troops, the Dire Horse and the Champion, whereas Quaritch only has the Flame Boss, and then 5 other rare troops. Jake has 2 epics, 2 rares, and 2 uncommons, which means he has 2 epic troops to unlock first, and then he has to upgrade them, which is much harder because their shards rarely appear in the Sacred Site store. And I know they're actually in daily goals right now. Still, it's just like, you know, to level them up, it's just crazy to think how long that will take. And the problem is, you know, if you get rid of one of those epic troops, you're kind of screwing Jake either way. Dire Horse is his main form of, you know, damage against opponents' towers, and Champion is his only tank. So either way, you're screwing them. I think something needs to be done about this, and I have some ideas a little bit later in the video. And of course, like I said, Quaritch has something for every situation, more or less. So we need to check off some boxes for Jake so that he's more competitive, I guess. Against Quaritch just in general. We've raised the issues that Jake is having right now compared to Quaritch. So how do we fix it? That's a good question. And it would take more than just swap this troop out for this troop and whatnot, because if you did that, the only way to really balance Jake's deck currently is to just make him a 1-for-1 copy of Quaritch, which is kind of boring. So troops. Here are some troops that have been floated as to whether or not they should be added into Jake's deck instead of Hellswarm, or just added in general. The first one is Titanothea. Fuck off. Absolutely not. Titanothea it's really getting there. It's really pushing that border of, is this overpowered or not? Not to mention, it's essentially an epic troop masquerading as a rare. Guardian, no. Again, Guardian would break Jake, at least in its current state. Right now, it costs 4 energy. The lowest cost of all the tanks in the game. Every other tank in the game costs 5 or higher. Every other tank in the game. This is the one exception. I don't know why. So if you were to put Guardian into Jake's deck, just swap it out for Hellswarm, he would break Jake. Why? Because his average cost would plummet to one of the, I think, the lowest in the game out of any commander. He would just straight demolish Quaritch because he wouldn't be able to keep up. So the only way you could realistically add Guardian into the deck would be if you raised his cost to 7. Whoa, hang on, stop it, stop. Don't put down the bows and arrows. I know I just said 7. I get it, right? Why would you do that? I'll explain my ideas behind it, okay? Why it should go to 7. I need to demonstrate, okay? Actually, let me explain it first. So my idea is, you push Guardian up to 7 energy. This would in turn increase its stats a bit. But you also give it a little bit of an extra kind of mechanic. A gap closer. Not a charge damage like the Dire Horse, with a gap closer. So you're able to close the gap between a troop quicker. So let me demonstrate it. We have a shield, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Guardian with a lightsaber and a keyboard. Okay, so right now, the Guardian does something like this, right? It's got a shield, it's got a sword, okay? And it will come forward, it'll walk up to the opponent, and then... That's what it does currently, right? Has to walk the distance between its opponents, and any ranged opponents will just start shooting at it and get some extra shots off before the Guardian even touches it. So, what we do is we give it a gap closer, right? So that it can close the distance between its target, its initial target, earlier. And it kind of works like the charge mechanic, where it has to walk a little bit first, but there's no damage multipliers, it's just a gap closer. So instead, what it'll do, let's say that's the amp, right? The chair. What it'll do is it'll walk up, it'll get right to the cusp, the edge of the amp's range. Maybe it's like half a tile in or something, I don't know. And what it'll do is it'll see the amp, it's been walking for a bit, and instead of just taking steps up, it'll go, you know, walk, poof. Right? It's been walking, and then it will see the amp, it'll get in range, and it'll just go. So yeah, that's the idea. Is that it'll attack the amp from a distance, it'll be able to close the gap a little bit easier, and in turn, get its initial hit off faster. That's my idea. So 7 energy, gap closer, Elder Titan. I wouldn't be opposed for it to be in Jake's deck. I just don't really think it would fit with him. Wouldn't really make sense for Jake. But yeah, nonetheless, I think it would fill that second tank role pretty decently. And like I said, I just don't really think it fits with Jake too well. You know? Shield Watch. People have said Shield Watch instead of Guardian, at least while it's at 4 energy. They're actually quite decent at pushing forward or countering a lonely amp or ripper. Yes, it can be easily countered by a flame boss, but that's not the point. Now, what would actually be a good deck? Well, like I just said for the Guardian, the issue with Jake and Q right now, I should state that Jake versus Quaritch, it's not broken to the point where Jake is completely horrible. He's just going to get destroyed without putting up a fight. He absolutely does put up a fight, and like I said before, it comes down to how well the player uses the horse. I do think that epic commanders should be more difficult to upgrade, or at least even get up to full power then. But I don't think there should be a huge disparity between the two. With new troops that would be coming for both factions, there may be room to shuffle some troops out, and there will no doubt be those troop shuffles made in the future. I just think that this should be something on the developer's radar. Not necessarily that it needs to be changed, but that it should be revised and looked at some point in the future. Loopy, where you get image from? The game files. So yes, I actually have seen a lot of stuff. Someone's data mined avatar. There's a lot of stuff in the game files. Unreleased troops, images for unreleased commanders or unused. And I would love to go over this stuff and show this stuff off because I think it's really cool. Some of the troops in there look really cool. The commanders look really cool. And there's also a couple buildings in there too. But I don't know if I'm allowed to because other companies have sued people for data mining their games before. So devs, am I allowed to show off some of these data mined images that I have acquired from a Google Drive link? If yes, let me know. If not, let me know too. I'd love to know. I'd love to make a video on this stuff. It's really, really cool. Na'vi missile strike, anyone? So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Did I miss anything? Any issues? And if I did, chuck it in the comments. Or if I didn't miss anything, or if you disagree with me, or if you agree with me, chuck it in the comments below. Let me know. It's great because, you know, I don't play Na'vi, so, you know, I can only give opinions based on what I see as an RDA player playing against Na'vi. Hope you enjoyed the video. Look out for the next one. It'll either be data mined content or some troop balancing. I actually think it's going to be a patch review, considering the next season is coming up, which will come with balance updates, most likely maybe some new troops commanders, who knows. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more and you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and tell your friends about who play Avatar. Pass it on through your servers. Thank you for watching, and I will see all of you next time in Pandora. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Turtwig. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Goodbye, I must say.